Scunthorpe United have lost 4-0 at home to Exeter City this afternoon.
Love it.
Open wide for some soccer!
Is this thing on? Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you all so much for joining us on this surprise podcast. For all of you out there, we're going to go through the upcoming game. Now that we look forward to matches, we're gonna go through what's going to happen on Saturday. Our first home game in 3 weeks. So it's been a long time since Blundell Park. So there's 6,300 tickets already sold. It looks like it might well be a sellout in the home end. I am joined, as always, by Bruce, who is disappointedly not changed the Omen shirt in the background. But we did this on the hop.
I've had to get dressed to be on the pod.
Don't stand up.
No, actually, look, I can.
No, don't.
Town orange shorts, look.
Are they? Or are they just the red ones from the 90s that have now bled dry?
No, they're genuine. The orange ones from a couple of years ago, was it? But I feel like I was training with the youth team, and then you just pulled me to one side and said, "Can you play tomorrow? Or you're playing tomorrow?" Yeah.
That's how Holloway used to do his team talks normally, isn't it?
Tom would be very disappointed. I've done no preparation in the 3 minutes since I told you I could do it.
Well, I mean, I don't want to break Tom. I don't want to upset Tom, but I don't do any preparation whatsoever. Though it may well come across on the podcast.
Yeah, I've just been down to the club today and picked up a pile of. I'm knee deep in
photos.
I'm knee deep in Asda photos. Yeah, I'm knee deep in special photos and photos that are stuck together. But I don't know. We'll not go on to that one.
Hopefully it was the flood damage. We are also Dave's slightly confused while we're talking about Asda. This has now been a couple of hour long argument now whether it was a club shop from the 90s in Asda or in Freshney Place, the local shopping centre, and whereabouts it was. But Dave from the Glovercast is here. He's here to talk about everything Yeovil and recount yesterday's viral penalty where a Weymouth steward was violently assaulted.
He's still recovering.
Yeah,
his ears still ringing from that ball hitting him. Although I'm not sure how hard it actually was, but you certainly heard up, didn't you? When that one.
We are just glad that there is a team as poor on penalties as we are supposedly this season.
Gonna say, I think you guys protest too much here. I've seen you guys play this season. There's nothing very poor about Grimsby Town. Not as of the 20th of October 2021. This season, I'm not having it.
It's not going to work. You know, your commentator's curse. It's not going to work.
Yeah, this is all I do. If I'm negative, we're all now basically. I mean, the reputation that Grimsby has that it stinks anyway is not helped now by the fact there are 6,000 people who haven't changed underwear for 6 months, 3 months, and
I'm not going to ask.
Yeah, not changed their shirt, not washed it just in case the good vibes go out of it. Everybody stood in the same position since we went top of the league, and we'll do so until we don't, I imagine. But how has everything been down in the land of helicopters?
Helicopters, very good. That's some good local knowledge. I'll give you that. Yeah. Most people say gloves. Our nickname is the Glovers, but that is an industry in Yeovil, Somerset that goes back to, I don't know, a very long time ago. Helicopters is more modern day, I think. But yeah, how are things? Pretty ropey, to be honest with you. Obviously, I mean, you guys have only just come out of the football league, so you're yet to feel the full misery of the National League. But we're now entering our third season, and they've been two pretty well, with the possible exception of certainly the first half of the first season, which was very good. I mean, we dropped out of the football league with a complete whimper.
Well, what happened? Because let's be honest, the clubs that get relegated are both off and on the field complete and utter car crashes. Is that the same for you?
Well, on the face of it, when we did drop out of the Football League, on the pitch, we were a complete car crash. We had a manager by the name of Darren Way, who was his own biggest fan, but certainly by the end of his managerial career, had zero fans. On the pitch, sorry, that was on the pitch. I got distracted by the question coming up the bottom. I'm not used to this. Ours is all audio, so this is completely thrown me. But yeah, so if I close my eyes, that's what I'm trying to distract it. So yeah, Darren Way was, without question, if I had to pick my all-time Yeovil Town 11 players, I would put Darren Way in it. Fabulous player, like non-stop running midfielder, just complete energy. The season, our sort of seasons getting out of the non-league into the Football League after 108 years back in 2003. Darren Way was absolutely at the heart of it. Brilliant player. Manager, coach, absolutely stinks. Absolutely. Worse than Grimsby by the sounds of it. So we went out of the Football League based on him. Well, not him. It hit a team of players who didn't want to put a tackle in. I went to most games the season we went down, or a lot of the away games. I actually live up north, which is why my accent is slightly not quite as Wurzel Gummidge.
Hang on, am I the most southern man currently on this podcast? Then is that
When
what
he says
it
up
is?
north, though, Alex, he means Oxford.
Yeah. Well, that still beats me.
No, I'm talking Preston, Lancashire. So that is further north.
Yeah.
That is further north than Grimsby. But yeah. So yeah, I just seen there someone saying played with Darren Way for a Yeovil Legend game, massive big timer. There you go. So yeah.
Stephen McDade does sound like he has a far bit more information than I do on Yeovil, other than going into Augusta Westland every now and then.
There you go.
Dave, is Stephen a Yeovil legend then?
I'm going to say Stephen McDade
is not a name on a Legends game.
I remember there were a few people when they played in that game. I think it was a testimonial, and I'm sure there was like a, I don't want to say a raffle, but there was you could pay to play. I think it was.
That was us last season.
Yeah, maybe, yeah. Under Ian Holloway, God Almighty, yeah. Good luck. But to answer my answer to your question, on the pitch, terrible. Off the pitch, we were in the midst of a takeover by someone. So we've been owned basically by the same people for 20 years, I think, by a local businessman, a fairly wealthy local businessman, and a supporter. So both of whom were sort of good custodians of us, I guess, whilst or seemingly good custodians, I should say, of us while we were in the league. They didn't they didn't play. They didn't. It's really distracting, these questions. I keep saying these things. So they basically got to the end of their time, and they sold us to another businessman, a guy called Scott Priestnell, who's our current chairman. Now, Scott Priestnell had no background in football, and that always rings an alarm bell, doesn't it? But then you could give him the benefit of the doubt and say, well, you don't need to have a background in football to run a football club. So he came in. The usual big promises, we'll do this, we'll do that, we'll sort things out off the pitch, we'll sort things out. And then backed with parachute payments out of the Football League, which obviously you guys are benefiting from now. We actually put together a decent side in that first season. We put together a side which had some good experienced players in it. Trying to think of people you might have heard of. Carl Dickinson played around in the Football League for a bit, left back, was a good player for us. Charlie Lee, midfield player. We had we pulled a player out of the Conference South called Reece Murphy, who is now at Southend. Very good striker. And we did really well in the first season. And obviously the first season was aborted due to COVID. So we made it to the playoff semi-finals, but I don't know if you remember. But in the National League, there was a gap of from about February, March time, all the way through to sort of May, June, when no one was playing. So we had to prepare for this game against Barnet in, having not played for months and months. Anyway, we lost that semi-final, and then the second season was obviously last season, the COVID season, shall we say, which was a nightmare to start with. We managed to keep a lot of our team and looked like we were going to do okay. Then results didn't go our way from the off. And then midway through the season, I'm not sure if you guys remember it, but our club captain, a guy called Lee Collins, tragically committed suicide. There was, there's a whole nother story behind that. But as you can imagine, your club captain being lost in a situation like that just destroyed the club. Just made nobody want to play anymore. The players, the fans, nobody did. And I mean, to be fair to them, they saw the season out. We finished mid-table somewhere, but I think it's probably fair to say that nobody really cared by the end of it where we finished. We just wanted last season over, done and dusted, and gone. And then obviously in the summer we had crowdfunders and people trying to raise money to keep the club going with the problems that there was with COVID. And now we're in a situation where those owners who took over promising great things 2 years ago are persona non grata because they didn't deliver on anything that they promised they were going to deliver on. They put, as far as I can tell, zero investment of their own into the club. Borrowed £800,000 from the Sport England loans on good terms for a loan, but still 800 grand to be in debt. So we're now in a position where we've had a lot of our more experienced players left in the summer. Others chose to leave, like Reece Murphy being an example. Our top scorer for the last 2 seasons went to Southend. And we've had to replace them with kids, basically, by and large, with a few exceptions. I think Adi Youssef is our most experienced player at the age of 29. So, it's been a sort of a bit of a hit and miss start to the season. We lost in the first game, lost to Kings Lynn at home, which is never a good thing to do on the first game. Had a player sent off in the first half. And then we won 3 on the bounce. We beat, we won away at Aldershot. And then I came on the Stockport County podcast, live cast, just like this. And I was saying, this isn't going to be pretty. Stockport, they got so many good players. We went there and we spanked them 3-0. And it was honestly probably the best away performance I've seen for donkey's years watching Yeovil that game.
Really?
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, they were poor. Don't get me wrong. Stockport were out of form, out of sorts. You guys aren't out of form at the moment, are you? But yeah, we played them off the park on their own pitch. And we'd had a win in between that. So we beat Aldershot and then we beat Halifax at home on the TV. And then we beat Stockport 3-0. But that seems to have been where we peaked. Then I think we played Chesterfield. We lost, which is no shame because, they've put together a very expensively assembled side. Then we lost at Boreham Wood. Adi Youssef was sent off in the first half. And then we had a run of 4 home games. We drew with... trying to remember what order it was. So we drew with Maidenhead, which was a terrible game. They had a player sent off with 20 minutes to go. Absolutely awful game. And then we drew Altrincham. They had a left back in goal for 74 minutes. We could only score 1 goal against them. And then probably the biggest indignity of all was last weekend we drew. Oh, here we go. You got the table up here. Yeah, so there you go. Chesterfield, Boreham Wood. That's right. We lost to Notts County again. No great shame losing to Notts County. They're a decent side. Ruben Rodriguez scored twice against us for them. Look, a very good player. We drew. Then we drew with Alty. They had left back in goal for 74 minutes, and then we had
Did they really?
Yeah. So the goalkeeper got injured, went off, and they had no sub goalkeeper. So they brought on. There you go. Tony Thompson went off, and it was Hampson. Hampson came on. He's a left back, and now going forward, we are absolutely shocking. But you see that result there, 11th of September, Stockport County 3-0 away, shows what you can do. But just to finish off on the form at the moment, the biggest indignity was Weymouth are our local rivals there.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, 30 minutes down the road on the south coast. So, but we haven't played Weymouth in a league game since the late 80s. So it's that, and we played them in an FA Trophy game 21 years ago. That's the last competitive time we played them in front of fans, I should say, because we played them twice last season and beat them twice last season, but there were no fans there. So last Saturday at our place was the first time we played them in a cup tie. Went 1-0 up, did our usual thing, played all right in the first half, shocking in the second half, just completely impotent going forward.
Is it just a lack of fitness? Is it a lack of
fitness? Is not a problem for this.
Okay.
They're all young, athletic players. They're
it's more of a mental thing.
Well, it's just not very good going forward. It's the way that we set up is very defensive. So if we had our first choice starting 11, we would play 2 holding midfielders effectively with 2 attacking wingers, and then possibly another. Certainly not attacking player in the middle of the park, and then we have a player called Joe Quigley who's been around the non-league for a while as well. He's sort of a big target man up front, more than a target man, I would say. But yeah, so we're just not set up to be attacking. We just don't have the players to be attacking, and it shows.
Do you know what? It's weird you say that, because I bet if you asked a lot of Grimsby fans at the moment, they would probably have Adi Youssef in a heartbeat. Yeah. He used to play for us for a bit, and he did quite well.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on Adi Youssef, Bruce? I was just saying to Dave that if you'd have asked some Town fans at the moment, because we're looking for another striker, he'd be exactly the sort of one we would probably be looking for.
I didn't think he got a fair crack, really, to be fair.
Yeah.
Wasn't it? Didn't he come in under Bignett and then was one of the ones that Slade moved out quite quickly?
Absolutely.
So yeah, there were quite a few. Anybody that got anything about them that looked like they might have a bit of flair or anything was quite quickly shown.
Russ doesn't like flair unless it's one going up in the air to show him how high they need to kick it.
Well, didn't he go to? Where did he go after us? Did he go to Blackpool at one point?
Yeah, he did. Yeah. He went to Solihull. Solihull was the place where he scored a lot. And then he signed for Blackpool, didn't kick a ball for Blackpool. But he was loaned out to, I think last season he had a stint at Wrexham. Obviously, they weren't the Harlem Globetrotters that they are now. And they had a stint at Chesterfield as well last season. Yeah. Divides opinions.
Always looked all right. I certainly, we certainly said we would have taken him in the last couple of seasons with the way we've been struggling.
Right.
But yeah, I thought he was all right. But maybe, like you say, maybe his career's going the other way.
He just doesn't seem to spend any time, does he, anywhere? I mean, I guess the one question that every Town fan wants to know is, how's Mitch Rose doing? Is he your main penalty taker? If not, why not? And has he had any scraps with officials yet?
So Mitch Rose is probably the least popular man in
really
Town.
He's good. Oh, right.
And it's got nothing to do with anything he's done whilst wearing a shirt and running around on the pitch. So I don't know if you've heard Mitch Rose's recent history. Have you?
The last thing I knew about him was that he had a fight with somebody at Boston.
All right. Okay. No. So he has had a fight with someone. So he was convicted of assault. And I'd say,
really?
Yeah. So I say that you can look this up on South Yorkshire Police website. So you can get chapter and verse on that. He was convicted of assault of, I want to say, a 26-year-old woman.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Bruce,
exactly.
Did I walk into this one? I didn't know this one.
Yeah. So he is not. I mean, as a player, I mean, if he had none of that background, he would have been, the kind of player we'd be looking for. An experienced head that can sit in the middle of the park, and do a good job. If he can take penalties, as I'm sure we'll come on to, then we could have done with him last night. But no, he's not a popular signing. Basically, just because of that, people don't want.
Yeah, that's understandable.
Fractured a woman's cheekbone and he's still on a suspended sentence now. Now I'm all for giving people a second chance, but he he was given a 9-month suspended sentence for this, and that's still ongoing. So, and I've heard no sort of words of contrition from him. Whether he's not been given the opportunity to give words of contrition or not, I don't know. But yeah, Mitch Rose.
That's an interesting one.
I wouldn't expect him to be available for Saturday anyway. He's been out injured for the last couple of games, so yeah, he's definitely an acquired taste that hasn't been acquired in a lot of Yeovil yet, I don't think.
Well, I walked into that one.
Sorry, I should have warned you.
No, it's all right. No, it's fine. The only other player, something similar, was a player we both shared as well, was Terrell Forbes, because I think he came to us during an inquiry as well. He was currently under suspicion, wasn't he, for a crime that eludes me at the moment. I want to say assault as well, but I don't know what happened to that. But there we go. He was with you afterwards, wasn't he?
Terrell Forbes was part of our team under Russell Slade, which knocked Nottingham Forest out in the semi-finals of the League One playoffs, which you were telling me, Alex, you were at that game. So
I was, yeah.
Russell Slade might be a swear word in Grimsby. Terrell Forbes is, we still think Terrell Forbes scored, I think, his only goal for us. I could be wrong. He might have got another against Bristol Rovers, who were our sort of nearest to local rivals, because we never played Weymouth. So we still sing today, who put the ball in the Gashead's net? Terrell Forbes did. So he's still a legend.
How is Russell Slade taken up there? Because how's he taken up there? Or down there, I guess. I'm looking at it from my.
Exactly. Yeah. So Russell Slade came in, replaced a one man who I would put. Here's Stephen McDade is back again. Will be an inconsistent mid-table team. I would take mid-table inconsistency now, Stephen. Yeah, I would take it, and I would agree with you that I think Grimsby will have too much for us. So Russell Slade.
I don't really want to put that one up. I think he's tempting fate there, isn't he, Bruce?
Well, tempt it more, Stephen. Tempt it more. Russell Slade he replaced a club legend in Gary Johnson, the man who got us out of the non-league after 108 years, then got us up into League One. So he was intro. I think there was a story about he left you guys, didn't he, after a playoff final? Am I right? He left you guys under a bit of. Go on, tell me the story. I can't remember.
Bruce, from what the rumor always used to go around is that he told the team at half time that he was going to Yeovil, and I had
final.
Yeah, and I had it reported that during the game he was on the phone to Yeovil sorting out contract deals and the like. But we've had a number of players that have come on that have said they didn't know anything about it until after the match, because that final was pretty dreadful, wasn't it, Bruce?
It didn't go very well, did it? We had our main man got injured, didn't he? There was a penalty we shouldn't have. We played really badly, but we should still have probably taken something from the game.
Yeah,
but, we lost 1-0 to Cheltenham at
Cardiff.
Who took Cheltenham? Who took less fans than we did? Who have got a short trip over the bridge, and us that had to travel. It felt like 9 hours to get to Cardiff.
I gotta say. Everywhere's a long way from Grimsby, though, isn't it?
I mean, we're preaching. Yeah, we're preaching to the choir there, I think, aren't we?
Yeah.
I went to Yeovil a few years ago.
I
came down. We drew 0-0. It was a 0-0 thriller. We had a caretaker manager in charge. Dave Moore was in charge, Alex, when I went, and it was the time. Do you remember when he just kept saying he wanted to get back and sit on his icebox, wanted to let somebody else take over? He's our physio, come caretaker manager about 15 times, and he just wanted to get back. We went for had an interesting night out afterwards. It was even for someone from Grimsby, it was like going back in time to the 90s, and we ended up in some karaoke bar with some locals. What were they doing? There were some dodgy substances quite prevalent, and I ended up climbing through a hotel room window to get back after I got locked out of the hotel in my underwear.
There's probably someone in Yeovil still looking for you. Police officer.
We stayed in this hotel, and it was quite 2 stories, but it was quite low, single story, and I ended up going back first, and one of the lads came back, and he didn't have a key, and he ended up ringing me, I think, and I sort of woke up and came back to let them in or something. I didn't realise the door had got a lock on the inside, so we both ended up locked out. And I climbed in through an open window that I wasn't sure who was in the room, but luckily it was empty. Let myself along the corridor, and all was well that ended well. But it could have been very, very dodgy, depending on who was in that room.
Who's the guys that we really need to pay attention to? Quigley is the man, is he, Dave?
Well, Quigley's our top scorer. Let's put it that way.
Okay, we need to take him out.
Yeah, so he's not in form at the moment.
Good.
Can I tell you the story of last night? So it was our replay.
Please do. I will find the video while you're telling it.
Honestly, this is. So I wasn't there. Like I say, I live in Lancashire, so I was listening to this on the radio. But it was described by a friend of mine who was at the game as trying our absolute hardest to lose this game. We tried everything to lose this game. So we'd played them at our place, gone 1-0 up in the first half. They'd equalised in the 94th minute to take us to a replay at their place. So again, we took 1,000 down, which is fair. I know you guys travel in huge numbers everywhere you go, but for us, that's pretty good. Local derby, so you'd expect it. Absolutely pelting it down with rain, wind, horrible it was. But yeah, so we went 1-0 up in the first half, and to be fair, we were playing pretty well. We all the way through till probably about 20 minutes from time, and then you felt they were starting to come back into a bit. Weymouth, they equalised again, 87th minute, took it to extra time. We had a couple of decent chances. Ada Youssef thought he should have had a penalty in the first half of extra time. Our goalkeeper, Grant Smith, made a fantastic save from a player called Brandon Goodship, who plays for Weymouth, used to play for us. And right at the end of the second half of extra time, we then went down the other end. Youssef had a shot, handball, penalty in the 120th minute of this replay. Missed it, or he got saved. So there you go. Yeah, this Stephen McDade knows everyone, doesn't he? Who is this man?
He's a man that all we knew is he's a man. He's living it up in Italy from all we knew, but now he's the man in the know in the southwest.
Right, so Stephen McDade, whoever you are, you know absolutely everything. I'm impressed. You have to come on our podcast. You know it all, mate. But yeah, so penalty save. Joe Quigley took that penalty. Then we went to probably the worst penalty shootout in FA Cup history. So I think what was it? They missed the first one. We scored the second one. Then they first of all missed their second one, but then it got retaken because somebody had thrown a bottle, and then it got retaken and they scored. Then everybody missed. And then it came down to this one. So this is Tom Knowles, who is probably, I would say, is arguably our best player. Watch this. This steward, look at him. He comes walking across thinking, I'll be safe here. I'll be all right here. I don't even need to look. Don't even need to look where that ball's going. Boom! Smacked him straight in the head. Now, that is not that was described on the FA Cup Twitter feed as the worst FA Cup penalty of all time. I would challenge anyone to find a worse one. But anyway,
it was pretty poor, wasn't it?
It was pretty poor. So luckily, Brandon Goodship, one of our former players, stepped up after that one and put his shot over the bar, and we won. Cue scenes of jubilation after two absolutely dire draws at home and a defeat at home to Notts County. So we're hoping that is going to springboard us our season. But then we've got to go to top of the table, Grimsby Town, who are flying. Won your last game 5-0 against
Bromsgrove, yeah.
Yeah. So I have my I'm the pessimist of the three people that are on this podcast. I'm the pessimist. The other one is the voice of balance, and then the yin to my yang is Ben. Ben is the voice of positivity in everything that he does. And if he's watching this, when I went on the Stockport podcast, he was claiming that I was criticising him for being positive. Everyone needs a Ben Barrett in their life.
We've got one like that. Tom has already said that the league will be wrapped up come sort of November.
Well, to be fair, Tom's looking about right.
he wasn't last season. I mean, all we can say, Dave, is think of it this way: who would you rather have win it? The Hollywood boys of Wrexham, the Billy Big Balls of Stockport, who are going around splashing, Chesterfield, who seem to have just, I assume they've robbed a train at some point.
Well, they furloughed everybody. They furloughed everybody, and now they're spending the money that they've saved while everyone was on furlough, haven't they? So.
I mean, it sounds silly, but with the light side of this, but you never know. We could come back on in a couple of weeks' time and talk to you in when do we play each other again in March? And we could be crying our eyes out. But I mean, we're going to share this audio. So, is there any questions you've got for us in terms of coming up here and anything you want to ask?
Well, I was going to say, because I was just messaging with my my colleagues here, and I was saying this ain't going to work for our podcast, lads. So I said because we need 10 minutes of you talking about what's going on with Grimsby. So we'll do it now. We'll pretend that this is gonna go out, and we'll just take this little bit of audio.
Yeah, I mean, by all means, do an intro or anything if you want.
Yeah, go on. I'll do that. We'll make it look seamless. Okay, 3, 2, 1. Okay, so this is Dave. He's ruined it. Okay, so this is Dave, and I am joined by Alex and Bruce from Grimsby Town supporters, who are going to talk to me. I've been talking to them for the past 20 minutes about what it's like being a Yeovil Town this season. Don't listen back to that; it is depressing. But they're going to tell me all about how Grimsby Town are flying their way through National League, on their way to promotion. So, Alex, Bruce, I don't know who wants to go first. What can Yeovil Town fans expect at the end of a long trip from Somerset to Grimsby?
I mean, Bruce will be able to tell you far more, but the only things I can tell you is cracking food, a half decent pint, and some of the best fish and chips on the planet. But on the pitch,
I like the sound of this already.
Yeah, I mean. We've had a little bit of a revolution at our place. We're under new ownership, and the food is now, it's probably the best restaurant in town. It's full of local street fairs, and I don't know what you are privy to in the away end, but I'm sure if you bunged a town fan a tenner, they will be able to slide over a Scotch egg or something like that. That's all the rage. Bruce, what about you? Because I mean, the only game I've experienced this season was from the comms box doing the shouting. So what's it like for the away fans that do come? What can Dave and the rest of the Yeovil fans expect?
I don't think they get access to the same food as we do they? So
have they still got the old Chizzy burgers?
I was, yeah. You got to bring your own microwave.
Eyelids and testicles.
No, I would, if I was coming up, which if I was doing Yeovil, I would be up nice and early. We'd be on the road at 5, 6 o'clock to get up for opening or just after. And I would make sure you were in the fan zone before the game, because they do some of the very nice food in there. So, I would check out the fan zone.
Is that the little bit behind in the away terrace? When I've been there before, there's like a little bar that you had in there. Is that the same place?
It's new this season. Okay. So it's between, if you're in the away end, it's between your stand and the big tall Findus stand on the left. It's in the corner there, but you have to access it from Grimsby Road, from the main road. So you would go there before and then walk round to the away turnstiles. But yeah, it's got good beer, it's got good food, and it's got reasonably civilized fans in it. So yeah,
you don't go in anymore, do you, Bruce?
I can't afford it, mate. It's every home game. The food and drink is that good now that every home game costs about the same as an away one.
You've just got a lot of overweight town fans now wondering why they've put on 3 stone since August.
You can't just turn up and just sort of go and watch the game, because the smell of the food just sort of whacks past you. And
what about on the pitch? What can we expect?
You're not allowed to eat on the pitch, Dave.
On the pitch, we look like a well-oiled machine, which we've all been very pleasantly surprised how quickly the squad that Paul Hurst has assembled over the summer has done. And somebody said to me today, they think that one of the big things was that he had his budget early, he spent most of it early, and we had pretty much our full squad, give or take 2 or 3 players before we started pre-season training, which was
and before probably you even finished. Like he'd signed players before the National League had really even finished, hadn't he? We had a long pre-season.
Yeah, it was. God, it was about 10 weeks or something, wasn't it? It was crazily long, and the season started late anyway because you'd all been playing late. But we just look. I'm not saying what the result's going to be at the weekend, but we just look like there's so much confidence and togetherness in the squad. They're well organised. The team that beat, I know Bromsgrove are a couple of tiers below, but the team that won 5-0 at a canter last week that could have won 10-0 easily was 3/4 of our reserves.
Yeah, he made 7 changes.
He made 7 changes last week. So we just look. We're an injury up front away from a little bit of having to have a think about which way we go. But the rest of the team's pretty much got 2 players that wouldn't let themselves down, in their position.
Yeah. You got lots of options.
Yeah, it looks that way, but I mean, it probably always does when you're flying, and it's a long time since we've been flying, so we're having to learn and adapt to following that team it's
really lots of problems, isn't it? Lots of problems for Hurst to work out, and we've got players coming back from injury. Max Wright, who is a sort of a young seminal talent locally, has always promised a lot and has just been really unlucky with injuries, and he's coming back again. I mean, he injured himself celebrating his goal against Wrexham, didn't he?
Really?
He pulled a hamstring, but he's now coming back. He played a couple of minutes yesterday, and you got him, Bapaga and Eriko Souza, who have been phenomenal on the wings, and they can just sort of change as much as they want. And the main conversations we've been having, if we try and find a criticism, which is hard to do, is we worry about being up front. We've got 2 very good strikers in Grant Taylor and John McAtee. McAtee came from Scunthorpe, our local rivals, we were told he was lazy. Yet Paul Hurst was absolutely, you could tell when he signed it. One of the first players he signed, he was so excited that we'd got him, and you can kind of see why. Grant Taylor, the only worry you have is a bit injury prone, and you worry about that, but he's been so good, so strong up front. He might be a bit knackered because he's had a kid, so I mean that might be an opportunity. But they both didn't play on the weekend, did they, Bruce? So they'll had almost 2
be
weeks
nicely
off.
Relaxed, and we've played 120 minutes in the pouring rain on Tuesday night, so you can see where this is going, isn't it?
No, we can't. No, it's a 1-0 away win. That's what it is.
I'm taking it. It's sold. I love it.
It's one of these things, because I think one of the few advantages of being down here before, which we'd never been before we got relegated last time, is that we know what to expect. We're waiting for I went to Bromley, we got tanked. It was absolutely siloing it down the whole game. Their manager and their team absolutely loved winding us up. They ran over to us for each of their 3 goals. They clearly don't have anything better to do. But it was, we know that's coming. We've been spanked 5-0 by Braintree, and we understand that this league is a pain in the arse to get out of.
Yeah.
And I wasn't expecting us to be anywhere near this at the moment. I mean, I was with Wrexham and Stockport splashing the cash around like there's the end of the world. We just expected to sort of we would like the playoffs. That's where we were aiming for. But this league is madness.
I have to say that when, when you 2 teams came down, and looking at who Southend had brought in as well, my prediction was worth absolutely nothing, obviously, was that Southend would finish quite comfortably in the playoffs and you guys would be in mid-table somewhere. But how wrong am I?
It's all about the manager and the new owners. We've been needing new owners for 16 years. We finally got them. And they are absolutely everything you would hope for. If they didn't have a penny to rub together, I would still have them in a heartbeat. They are so good. They're so open. They try new things. The whole place is buzzing. We've sold out. We've got 6,300 tickets sold for tomorrow. Oh, sorry, for Saturday. And that's not something we expect. Like, it's now continually growing, and people are excited about going again. And it's dream world at the moment. I'm waiting for someone to wake us up. I don't know how you feel, Bruce.
And they've promised nothing.
Yeah.
They've said they're not going to come in and make wild promises. They promised nothing, and it's basically the boardroom equivalent of the manager saying, "We'll do our talking on the pitch."
Yeah,
they'll do their talking on the pitch and off the pitch, and that's what they'll, what will be after that. They've not come in like your guys by the sound of it, and we're going to do this, we're going to do that, because anybody in the right mind in this division knows what it's like, how hard it is to get out of, and you've basically got to be relentless. And I saw a statistic, I don't know where it came from, I don't know who pulled it up, but somebody had fed everything into some system the other day and come up with a end of season.
Oh God, that was a ridiculous table.
and it had Chesterfield finishing 1 point above us on 101 points or something.
Really?
And we just. I mean, I don't know. Like I say, there may have been no theory behind it, but somebody had somehow come up with this table, and like I say, you amassed a lot of points. But I think to win this league, you've just got to be relentless, haven't you, and keep winning and winning and winning.
Doing all right so far. You're doing all right so far. Well, for this segment where we're going to use this on the Glovercast, I'm gonna stop it there because I love that positivity with regards to what owners do and how owners communicate with supporters. Don't make big promises, like you say. Do their talking on the pitch and off the pitch. If we could have that at Yeovil Town, I'd be very happy. So
they're amazing.
Yeah. Right, so I'm going to stop it there. Thank you very much for speaking to us, and now we'll go back to the podcast and we'll carry on this.
Yeah, it was just the stuff they do has been so wonderful. They've come on our podcast twice, and they reached out to us. We didn't reach out to them. They answered all the fans' questions. The only thing they asked for is, we don't want anonymous questions. Throw your questions in properly. We want to be accountable as do the fans, and they've just listened. We did a little Twitter thread a couple of months ago saying, like, what would you want to change? And they've pretty much actioned absolutely every single one of them. And then we did it again yesterday. And then the CEO, who's also been on the podcast, came out and goes, yeah, we're looking at this one. This one we don't think will work at the moment because of maybe X, Y, or Z and the like. And they're happy to talk about everything. And the owners, they're both local guys. They've both done good. They're both successful in business. But most importantly, they're just approachable, and they will. They're switched on. I mean, we had a local businessman who was a fan, but I don't know. He went down a spiral. I think. It's the kindest way I could put it, isn't it, Bruce? He lost himself a bit.
A helter skelter.
Yeah, he lost himself. But that's it, really. I don't have anything else to add. I'm just looking forward to it. It's nice to get a home game again. I mean, it'll be a shame I can't watch it.
It's not too long, though. Not too long to wait, mate. Have you till we come down to Aldershot?
Yeah, Aldershot's not too bad.
You're at Wealdstone, aren't you? So
yeah, I think so. My mum's down here that week though, so I've still not bought my ticket. So I've got to be quick.
What next week?
Yeah, my mum's here next week. So,
mate, you can't. You struggle with games anyway. You can't miss.
Oh, I don't know. I think we're matching each other at the moment, aren't we? I'm doing all right.
I meant in general. Yeah. Well, yeah. To be fair, you probably got half the London teams to come, but you can't miss a game down your way.
Yeah, I'll have to. She might have to come along.
I've got to say,
I don't mean that in a critical way. I mean that in a caring, town loving kind of way.
What were you going to say, Dave, about Aldershot?
I was going to say we did Aldershot a couple of back at earlier in the season. That's a fantastic away end. I mean, you guys will fill it. It's got it's almost like a giant barrel strapped to the roof, so it gives amazing echo off the roof. It'll be. We'll love it there.
Do you not still get a bit of the side down to the halfway line?
You do, yeah. You get a little bit, yeah. I think to the halfway line.
There's a little stand there that you get. You get some.
It's the only stadium I know where you can lean up against a tree and watch the game, because there's one in the away end, and you can sort of rest up against it. It's also got a telegraph. Yeah. It's also got a telegraph pole right in front of it on the pitch. Right. That kind of everybody forgets about. which is quite nice. It's a lovely old stadium. And if you're in the home fans, they've got a beer garden in the woods. So where the away end is, you go through that little park. The home end have got something very similar, and at the top they've got a little bar up in the woods.
Right, yeah.
It's quite nice.
But,
We've got 3 people on here that have all been to Aldershot. How's that? That's
I know. It's cracking.
Not like Old Trafford, is it? The joys of the lower leagues, eh?
Yeah, exactly.
Wreck, spelt with a W, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think that's enough. I'm looking forward to it. Dave, are you coming across? It's not far. Or are you gonna?
Well,
are you going to stay that side of the Pennines?
To my eternal shame, I'm not. It's a very good friend of mine.
It's a local away game, isn't it?
I know. I am getting absolute grief for it. I tell you, yeah. So this season I've been to Stockport, which was a very local away game in Lancashire. I went to Aldershot, which is a long old trip. I went to Boreham Wood, which is a fair old trip as well, and then Grimsby, which is 2.5 hours from where I am now. I think
there can't be. Yeah, there can't be many other local games, can there? You'd have Halifax, Altrincham. Altringham's your local one, I guess, isn't it?
Yeah, Altrincham, Stockport, probably the 2 closest ones. Yeah,
and then
then Halifax, won't it?
Halifax, yeah, that's not too bad. But yeah, there's quite a few of them sort of into the Midlands and London. I mean, it's not a bad train line down from where I am in Preston, so that's at least something. So,
Dave, if we were bottom of the league, would you have sacked your mate off and come over?
Maybe. Maybe, but like I say,
come along. There's loads of stuff to do on the seafront.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. He's a Notts County fan, so I don't think he'd
would love to see a decent black and white team.
Oh, right. Okay, I'll pass that one on to him.
Yeah, exactly.
We've got better pies than them.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Well,
don't throw you in a Hooters.
I have tried the fish and chips at Grimsby before, so I'm trying to remember. I want to not steal.
This is the contentious part, though. Where did you get them? Because this is the one thing that people from Grimsby talk about.
Now it was a shop where you could go and you could sit in. It wasn't like one. It wasn't near the. It wasn't Cleethorpes. It was in Grimsby.
Okay.
I forget what it was called. I want to say it was called Steele's, but it wasn't. But it's something like that.
That's in Cleethorpes. That's in Cleethorpes Marketplace. Steele's.
Steele's is a good one. If you went to Steele's, you had the royalty of fish. Yeah.
You would know.
Oh, maybe it is Steele's.
You think it looks like it's got lots of doilies, a couple of booths in red seating.
Yes.
There you go.
It looks a bit like a house that you'd see in that village near Harry Potter's school.
That's it. That's where I went. Yes, indeed.
Absolutely. Well, I know you said hello, Adam, but we are gonna go.
I am back.
Yeah.
Well,
you can watch it on Twitter again if you want to, and I think you can rewatch it on YouTube in a sec. We'll put it out as a podcast, and then for all you Yeovil fans as well, get it on the Glovercast too. And we'll you never know, if Yeovil win, Dave might come back on next week.
Yeah,
he might be doing our pod for us.
Yeah, exactly.
You'll be sat there crying in the corner, will you?
Yeah, that sounds about right. Right.
I live in eternal hope.
See you later, gentlemen. A pleasure to speak to you, Dave. See you later, Bruce.
Cheers.
See you later. Bye.